Everyone is talking about Adolescence, the series by Knowsley's own Stephen Graham and Christy. It highlights online male radicalisation. So will the Prime Minister back this campaign to counter toxic misogyny early and give young men the role models they deserve?
This violence carried out by young men, influenced by what they see online, is a real problem. It's abhorrent, and we have to tackle it.
Online radicalisation, incel culture, violence against women, these are all very real problems. But my concern is this. Will this perpetuate a narrative that the biggest problem in society and the biggest threat posed to women and girls comes from working-class white boys?
Hello, welcome to the channel. My name is Kevin J. Moore. The channel is Ptertain TV. Now, today we're talking about a program called Adolescence, and we're going to discuss that in the context of Patrick Christy on GB News and what he had to say about adolescence. Let's have a listen to some of what Patrick had to say, and then I'll get back to talking and commenting more on what Patrick had to say about adolescence. Let's have a listen.
Are working-class white men and boys always the easy target? Adolescence is the box office Netflix series that's got everyone talking. Now, it covers the harrowing story of a seemingly normal young lad who brutally kills a girl. Now, I want to start by saying that I've watched every single second of it. And the actor, Stephen Graham, is magnificent. He's actually my favourite British actor. Ashley Walters is great. The star of the show for me is, of course, the little lad Owen Cooper, who is clearly an absolute superstar.
Amy, if you do not sit... Look out! I want to sit down! You do not tell me when to sit down! You do not control what I... Look at me now! You do not control what I do in my life! Get that in that little head of yours!
As a piece of cinema, it's stellar. The dialogue is intricate and captivating. The insight it gives into the emotions that parents must feel after their child commits a hideous crime is remarkable.
But him going guilty is probably for the best. And if you were honest, you'd see that as well.
I saw what I saw. I didn't want to believe it. But I saw it.
It probably deserves to scoop all the awards that are no doubt coming its way. It was even raised in Parliament today.
Everyone is talking about Adolescence, the series by Knowsley's own Stephen Graham and Christy. It highlights online male radicalisation. So will the Prime Minister back this campaign to counter toxic misogyny early and give young men the role models they deserve?
This violence carried out by young men, influenced by what they see online, is a real problem. It's abhorrent, and we have to tackle it.
Online radicalisation, incel culture, violence against women, these are all very real problems. But my concern is this. Will this perpetuate a narrative that the biggest problem in society and the biggest threat posed to women and girls comes from working-class white boys? Does it run the risk of demonising them? They are already told to check their privilege. They're already told that people who look like them are responsible for all of the world's evils. They're already the worst performing at school. It is always easier for celebrities and politicians to jump on a bandwagon if the problem is seen to be white Brits.
So straight away, Patrick straight in and he said, are working class white boys always the easy target? In my opinion, and based on what Patrick says following all these comments about the working class young white boys, he is, without a shadow of a doubt, in my opinion, a race baiter. Now, when you think about race baiters, you normally would probably think of someone like Dr. Scholler, maybe. I know she annoys a lot of white people. They don't like the comments she makes. She seems to wind up a lot of whites. If you look on social media such as X, you'll see a number of comments that she's made, and the people attacking her because they're angry, because she does say things that winds white people up, and she winds them up. She actually is a race baiter, in my opinion, Dr. Scholler. There's others, famous people. I just paused the video there briefly because I forgot to mention Narindika. She is definitely a race baiter. Watch this next clip. It's only short and it's from Talk Radio, and she's on there as a guest, and they talk about the UK flag, and they talk about the English flag as well. And Narinda, she has to mention racism. She has to bring it, if she can, she will have to bring it in. She always brings it in. She always has to mention something to do with race on purpose to annoy people and to get more notoriety. Anyway, listen to Narinda and listen to her take on the UK flag and the English flag.
We're in to talk about the flag. You don't like the English flag, do you?
Okay. I want to like it, but look, I'm going to be 52 this year, right? I grew up 70s, 80s, 90s, National Front, the lot. We don't need to go into it. We don't need the history lesson, as you always
I'm
say,
older
James.
than
You're a bit older than me.
25 years.
Well,
But
that's a
anyway.
lot. Yeah, okay. So we don't need the history lesson. But for me,
Plus
the
VAT.
flag back then was a Union Jack. And I remember the National
That is
Front.
the flag of the United Kingdom.
Yes, but it was the National Front. And I remember as a child, as a teenager, in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, that flag is the symbol for racists. And which is unfortunate.
Which we've
but
taken
it is.
back. The Union Jack or the Union flag has been taken back, and it isn't seen as being racist anymore.
Who said?
But
When he said the flag's not seen as being racist anymore, Narinda said, "Who says?" Because she wants to perpetuate the racism feeling among the populace. That's what she wants to do. And of course, we know there obviously is racism in the world. We know it's not going to go away ever, completely go away. But in the UK, of course, racism and race relations has progressed from what it was like in the past. But some people trying to act as though in the 50s now, when black people or people that are non-whites are getting treated the way they did in the 50s. That's how some people act today, as though they're getting treated horribly, exactly like it was in the 50s. Well, obviously, in the modern age, we've got rights and everything and responsibilities just the same as whites, non-whites have got the same responsibilities in the UK under the UK law. And of course, there is issues sometimes, something might go wrong, there might be some problem, but ultimately we're all responsible for our own actions, and regardless of colour in this country now, there's no way you can say it was like it is in the 50s, whereas Narinda is trying to act like it's the same as it was in the 50s. Anyway, look at these pictures there, the GB team, Great Britain team, and look at them proudly supporting the flag. You could even see Anthony Joshua with the flag. If it was racist, do you think Anthony Joshua would be happy to carry a racist flag around? It doesn't make any sense. Look at these athletes. They're all proudly sporting the flag, showing the flag, because they know it's representing the country, it's a symbol of the country, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to win medals for the country, for the UK. So obviously people like Narinda, like I say, are just race baiters, and they just want to stir division. And I think because some of them actually do make a living as well by being a race baiter. Some of these people actually do make money doing it as well. Anyway, listen to the rest of the video. And normally when people think of race baiting, especially when it comes to the right-wing people, you think of race baiter, usually you think of a black person. I know if you're a right-wing person, you normally think a black person is a race baiter. That's what you think. If it says race baiter, you'll normally think straight away it's a black person, won't you? But I'm telling you right now in this video that Christy is a white race baiter, because what he does is he deliberately stirring up tensions between the races, isn't it? The races in the UK. He knows he's got a big listenership, big viewership on his channel, and he's deliberately stirring up feelings of anger and resentment in his viewers. That's what he's doing. And he's doing it based on race. Now, we know for a fact he's doing it based on race, because we're going to look at a bit more of the video, but he's talking about adolescence. This is a fictional program. It's not even real. It's just a fictional program. It was based, from what I've heard, on a real case where a young man, a young boy, I think apparently I heard he was black, a young black guy supposed to kill somebody, a young girl. It's supposed to be based on that, according to some reports. But the case in the program Adolescence is fictional. Let's get that clear. It's fiction. Now, Kemi Badenoch, she was targeted in the media. People putting her down on talk shows, and putting her down because she said she's not seen it. Kemi Badenoch could have said, oh, I've seen it, and tried to lie, but she told her to. She said, I've not seen it. And it actually made a good point that it's not even real. She said, you can't really make policies on something that's not real, can you? But yet in the House of Parliament, to talk about a television programme, it's like if I said to the Prime Minister, you know, I was watching Star Trek, and the Romulans are terrible, and, you know, and then the Prime Minister said, all right, well, this is what we need to do. We need to think about Romulans, and we need to say Romulans are not very good people, and we need to make sure our young boys don't imitate the Romulans, because the Romulans are very bad. Of course, they need to imitate Starfleet, because Starfleet are just similar to our modern democracy. So we need to make sure that the people realise, young people realise that we don't follow the Romulans' example. We've got to follow Starfleet's example. And of course, there's a £22 billion black hole as well, and we need to think about that. So, no, you young people, you need to follow the example of Starfleet. Okay? Now, that's the Prime Minister. He wouldn't say that, would he? Would he say that? No, but with adolescents, to talk about in Parliament, bringing it into Parliament like it's real, when it's not even real. It's a fake fantasy. It's a fantasy. It's a fictional program. There's so many programs on television that are fictional, and you know, you don't bring them into real life and start saying in Parliament, talking about it. It's not even real. You know what I mean? Even if you didn't talk about real case, bring in the real case if you want to talk about something. Why are you talking about something that's not real? Anyway, Patrick Christy. Let's go back to Patrick Christy and listen to what he had to say about this adolescence program. And it does really illustrate the point that Patrick, in my opinion, is a race baiter, because that's exactly what he's doing in this piece. Listen to some more of what Patrick had to say.
It is always easier for celebrities and politicians to jump on a bandwagon if the problem is seen to be white Brits. Stephen Graham is apparently from Knowlesy in Liverpool, as the local MP pointed out just there. But do we remember what else happened in Knowlesy?
No far right here, lad. Concerned parents. And I've got 2 daughters. I'm concerned for the safety. We're going to carry on until they're gone.
A video emerged that appeared to show a foreign man who claimed to be 25 approaching a 15-year-old schoolgirl. Now, obviously, people shouldn't have attacked the asylum hotel, but there was a sense from locals that their girls were under threat from foreign men. And this is something that actually is echoed right across this country.
Yeah, are you guys aware that the asylum seekers that you guys have got in the hotel are down by the school taking photographs?
Are they doing it right now?
They're not right now, but they were about 9 o'clock this morning.
Our phone's been going crazy all morning. I've been getting a lot of phone calls.
Oh, bless you.
I'm aware of what's going on.
When I drove by this morning, it seemed like it was all just men in the hotel. Is there actually any women and children, or is it just men?
No, there isn't any women and children.
Yeah. Do you think that Netflix would commission a series on the threat to women posed by illegal immigrants and asylum seekers? Do you think that Netflix would commission a series on the threat to women posed by foreign people in Britain? Foreigners are 3 times as likely to be arrested for sex offences than British citizens. Asylum seeker Abdul Azidi doused a woman and a child in acid in Clapham. That kind of violent misogyny, perpetuated by men from Middle Eastern nations, very rarely gets raised in the House of Commons, does it? When it came to the Pakistani rape gang scandal, there have been 2 documentaries on the, quote, fake grooming gang scandal. Now, as far as I'm aware, there's only really been 1 drama about the real scandal, which, as we know, has taken place in at least 50 towns and cities right across the country. Will Netflix commission a documentary on toxic masculinity among some aspects of the British Muslim community? That can be an unbelievably patriarchal culture where many regard women as being second-class citizens. What about the fact that cases of female genital mutilation rose by 15% a couple of years ago? What culture was responsible for that? Was that young, working-class white boys? We've got unbelievable gang culture in Britain. Unfortunately, much of that seems to be carried out now by young, often black and Asian men. Now, obviously, there are loads of documentaries and dramas on gang culture, but how many of them really get stuck into the issue of fatherlessness amongst the black community? Now, I'm not trying to offend anyone by saying any of this stuff. I'm really not, OK? And the issue of young boys and men going online, being radicalised, becoming incels, thinking that women are evil and that they can be violent towards them is a huge problem, OK? But here's what I think. Toxic masculinity is not the preserve of British working-class white men and boys. In fact, the stats I've shown earlier would actually indicate that the biggest threat to women, certainly in a sexual sense, comes from foreign-born men, many of whom, you would imagine, will not be white. The problem is celebrities, actors, TV executives, judges for TV and film awards, many people in the media, and, of course, politicians, only feel really comfortable highlighting issues where people are to blame. How long will it be before Netflix commissions a series on the misogyny, backward and sexually violent attitudes towards women held by some people who have just entered Britain illegally from parts of the Middle East?
Patrick goes on to ask a series of questions talking about Netflix and whether or not they'd commission a series based on whether someone is a non-white person committing crime or a person that wasn't born in the UK committing crime. Is asking a question about whether Netflix will commission these sort of series. Well, the answer, in my personal opinion, is Netflix are concerned with making as much money as possible, because obviously it's a capitalist enterprise and their primary objective is to make as much money as possible. That's why they put the prices up all the time and stuff like that. Anyway, listen to me very carefully. In my opinion, if there was a market for these things that he mentioned, if there was a market for what he mentioned, they would do it. They would do it if there was a market for it, you see. They won't do it if there's no market for it. There has to be an interest. There has to be people interested in the subject, and they would do it. Look at Hollywood for years. Like, even he admitted it himself, there's been documentaries about black gangs and things like that. And he talked about fatherlessness in the black community. And obviously he's talking rubbish there, because there is things about fatherlessness in the black community. People talk about it all the time. I've seen loads of videos about fatherlessness in the black community. But really what Patrick's doing is just a race baiter. That's what he is. He's trying to make whites and blacks against each other. He might, if you ask him, he'll say, oh no, I'm just highlighting. But it's not. He's a race baiter. He's literally winding people up. Because race baiting, it means when you wind people up, you wind them up based on a colour. You say, listen, that white person over there did this. And so, you know, white people are this and white people are that. Or somebody else could say, well, black people do this and black people that. The Asian people this, Asian people. It's race baiting. No matter which side it's coming from. It's a race baiter. Obviously, as I said, if you look at these other people, I mentioned it before, like, for example, Dr. Shaw, people like that. People, right-wing people will say, yes, she's a race baiter straight away. Most of the time, like I said earlier, people think of race baiting with God and they think of it to do with black people. But really, this adolescence commentary from Patrick, it really highlights that race baiting can come from whites as well, not just blacks. You know what I mean? Just like crime can come from non-whites, it can come from whites as well. You know what I mean? But really, it's just making people and trying to annoy people, trying to get people, wound up. That's what he's doing with his viewership. He's trying to get them wound up. And then you can see in the comments, if you read through the comments, a lot of people, you will see comments that are very, very racist towards non-whites because of him stirring these people up and making them resent others who of a different skin colour or different background. It is race baiting at the end of the day. So exactly the same with Dr. Shola, people like that. It's not just whites. As I say, blacks are recognised. A lot of black people are recognised for doing it, but you don't normally think of whites doing it, do you? But there is white race baiters. Like I say, Patrick is a quintessential example. I talk about a programme which is called Adolescence, which is completely fictional, and according to what he's saying, even you can talk to some other people in a minute, they're trying to make out that the adolescents is saying that all or the danger is young working class white boys. That's what they're trying to say. Seriously, when I watched Adolescence, I didn't think for a second, not even 1 second, that because he's a white working class young boy. I never thought that for not even a second, literally not a millisecond. I was watching it. I thought, oh, it's amazing. It's very, the acting is really brilliant. The way they're acting, it's so realistic. I just thought it was such a realistic way they did the acting and the scripts, the way, listen to the way they talk. I didn't think about the colour of the boy at all. I didn't think about, oh, he's white, so he's a murderer. I never thought that. I never thought anything to do with his colour. Literally didn't think anything about colour. I just thought is a disturbed young man who's killed a girl, and I'll just watch it to see how his family reacted and the way his dad reacted. You know, his dad was devastated, his mum was devastated, the family were devastated. And I could see the aftermath and the effects it had on his family and his life, and even his school friends were involved. But I literally didn't think for a second about his colour, not at all. But Patrick, he watched it and he straight away inferred from it that it's linked with colour, linked with his social class, saying he's working class, he's white, and Patrick's emphasised it repeatedly about this boy's colour, and he's saying that it's trying to make whites look bad and all this. But really, it's talking absolute nonsense, isn't it, really? In episode 2 of Adolescence, a character called Jade, she's a black girl. She's extremely rude to police officers who are politely asking her questions, extremely rude. And later, Jade is seen violently attacking a white boy, Ryan, a fellow student. Jade is portrayed as a very troublesome adolescent. And when asked why she attacked Ryan, she says, "I don't know." After a brief chat with her teacher, she walked out, even though the teacher specifically told her not to leave the room. Absolutely no respect. Jade had no respect, showed no respect whatsoever to those in authority. So if I said, because Jade was portrayed as disrespectful, rude to the teachers, that means she's saying that they're saying that all blacks are being demonized, all black young girls being demonized because Jade was a bad character in the fictional TV series. That means all black girls are being demonized. That's what it's saying. All the black girls in the UK are being demonized because Jade was a bad character in episode 2 of Adolescence, a fictional program. That's the same as what it's saying about the young lad that killed the girl in Adolescence. So obviously, it doesn't make a drop of sense. It's obviously ridiculous. Clearly, all young black girls are not being demonized because of Jade's bad behavior in episode 2. Similarly, all young white boys are not being demonized because of, I think it's called Jamie's bad behavior in killing somebody in Adolescence, the program. So really, when you think about it, I have to say that Patrick is really talking shit. So really, what Patrick's doing, like I say, is race baiting. But let's listen to some more of the video. Let's listen to some more of the video.
Let's get thoughts on my panel this evening. Director of the Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood, businessman and activist, Adam Brooks, and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. Look, everybody's talking about this. It was raised in Parliament today. It's probably going to scoop a load of awards. Stephen Graham, Ashley Walters, they're all over the media at the moment. Rightly so. You know, I do just feel... I'll start with you, actually, Adam, on this, if you don't mind. How do you feel about this? Do you think this runs the risk of unnecessarily and unfairly making it out that kind of white working-class boys are the main problem?
Yeah, look, it's a clearly very well-made programme, drama, very hard-hitting, raises some serious issues. I've got a 15-year-old boy, so I know many of the issues that this drama sort of highlights, but we are running the risk of demonising young working-class white boys. I think there's a lack of parenting now with many of these younger generations. My young boy has got a phone, he's got access to certain social media, but we check it and I speak to him. He says things that I don't like and I correct him on it and I educate him on some of the things that he says to me. I believe that there's a lot of this younger generation that don't have a father figure around or parents that actually parent, and that is a problem. But let's remember, this is not a series that should highlight white boys being a danger to women in society.
Adam makes his comments. He mentions that he's got a 15-year-old boy and he talks to him, and he does make a comment about, of course, in society some people haven't got a father figure, but then he says he doesn't think it should be a series about white boys being a danger to women in society. Well, it's not a series about white boys being a danger to women in society. What's he talking about? It's not about white boys being a danger. It's that white boys is plural. Boys is white boys being a danger. It's not talking about anything about white boys. It's nothing to do with colour. It's just talking about, the subject is that one boy and his family, one boy in the programme is adolescence, one boy that kills somebody. So it's it's not plural, it's singular. And it's making a point about that one boy. It's not saying that all white boys are criminals or killers or potential murderers. It's not saying that. But they're twisting it though it is. He's talking like it's saying white boys are a danger. No, but I didn't watch. I watched it and I didn't think, oh, white boys are a danger. I never thought that in the slightest. I didn't think white boys were a danger when I watched it. I watched Adolescence. I didn't think white boys were a danger. I didn't even think about colour. The only time I thought about colour is literally when I watched Patrick Christy's report. If I never saw Patrick Christy's report, I wouldn't even have been thinking about colour. Would have just watched not watched Netflix, watch Adolescence. Adolescence is a great program and talks about the family. Oh, it's amazing, that program. Do you see the way the little lad acted? He's a great actor, that young lad, isn't he? Yeah, you talk about that's what with the family. Oh, it's amazing. But because of Patrick Christy's comments, bringing in colour, that's the reason why I made this video. Because of Patrick Christy's comments, in race-baiting comments.
This idea now of it shining a light, it's shining a light on many things. One of them is unquestionably this idea of toxic masculinity and incel culture, okay? But certainly when it comes to toxic masculinity, I don't know how many politicians would be willing to stand up in the House of Commons there, or how many celebrities or actors or actresses would be willing to really shine a light on rampant toxic masculinity amongst certain aspects of the British Muslim community.
It's a very fair point. I think your monologue is a pretty good pitch for a Netflix drama series. If Netflix won't do it, let's find someone who will. I agree with your general hypothesis that there is a tendency in the arts, not just in Netflix, it's rampant across Hollywood, that you are telling stories that tend to have a kind of liberal, left, white, middle-class guilt element to them, many more of those than there are of other types of stories. In this particular case, I've watched it as well. I mean, it is brilliant but harrowing, right? Don't watch this and crack open a couple of beers and tuck into the nachos. I mean, this is a really grim drama. But I didn't come away thinking it had demonised anyone, actually. I thought it was quite a powerful story about how Britain is completely broken. The family in it, for example, are a pretty united group. It's a very loving and supportive marriage. They love their kids. It's not about fatherlessness. But I'm with you that drama needs to be hard-hitting, needs to expose the truth in each and every area. And the example I would give, I think this will be coming to our shores soon. A few years ago, a great film came out called The Sound of Freedom. It was about child trafficking from Latin America to the USA. Hollywood would not touch it. Jim Caviezel was the lead man in it. It was based on a true story, but it was considered to be far right and not the sort of story you want to tell, because it was about a hero white guy trying to stop trafficking. But it was crowdfunded and made a fortune. And I think increasingly studios are discovering that old thing, go woke, go broke, get woke, go broke. There is a market for the sort of drama series you're telling, a market for it, and I also think a public interest in it being produced.
100%.
Mark Little was a reasonable, the voice of reason in the discussion at this point, because Mark Little said he didn't come away thinking it had demonised anyone. That's what he said. I didn't come away thinking it had demonised anyone. And no normal person, a normal, rational person that's not got an agenda would come away thinking that demonised anyone. In fact, I suppose you could say, if you want to, you could say the guy himself was like demon or demonised. The character was a demonised in a sense. And even he was treated quite nicely, really, by the authorities, actually. But he's the only person, really, that you could say was, if what use that term, and even he wasn't really demonised, but we could say he was, in a sense, that he was a criminal, and is a known killer, the character in the programme. But as Mark Little reasonably said, I didn't come away thinking it had demonised anyone. That's Mark Little, and he actually talked about left-wing leaning in the arts. So he's not like he's defending in any way or trying to cover up. He's just saying the facts of what he feels. He said that he didn't come away thinking it had demonised anyone, and as I said earlier, neither did I. Let's have a listen now to what Nina Mishkov says about adolescence. Let's see what Nina says about it.
100%. And again, I want to make it clear, because it's just a difficult thing to talk about. And like I said, Stephen Gray is by far and away, I think,
he's brilliant.
My favourite actor. He's remarkable in everything. I don't want for a single second to be seen to be slagging that guy off. I don't think this thing shouldn't have been made. I don't think there's any actual flaws to it. What I am saying is I don't think something that may be told a different narrative would be made, Nina. And I think that's a bit of a problem.
Well, I think it might be made. I mean, you were talking about the Rochdale scandals. There was a drama called Three Girls in 2017.
So Nina just proved him wrong there, didn't she? Because she said there was a drama called Three Girls in 2017.
And I don't see why there won't be a drama made. And I agree with what we said about Stephen Graham. He co-wrote it.
Yeah.
And it was done... They're all done in one take, like that brilliant film Boiling Point. So all credit to him. But I think what the series highlighted wasn't the fact that it was a white kid. It was talking about how society and parents have been sleepwalking into exposing their children to danger. And to all sorts of influences. But 20 or 30 years ago, there was no way that a young boy could see porn, moving porn. Yes. I mean, you get grubby magazines, but you
know what I can see happening now, though, Nina, and I think it will happen, is that there are calls to show this in Parliament. There are calls to show it in every single school. I can see there being some kind of law introduced off the back of this that limits people's online freedoms and children's online freedoms. Some people might think that's...
I hope so, yes.
Some people might think that's...
Go the Australian way.
OK, all right. But there's not the same kind of readiness and rush to have a conversation about repeated instances of asylum seekers hanging around outside primary schools.
Look, I think you're right here. I think this is going to end up being weaponised by MPs.
No.
Yes.
I think you're completely wrong on that.
And let's remember that the instances of
the colour of the child isn't completely irrelevant.
No, it's going to be weaponised.
No.
100%. But
how?
But you've got to remember a knife was used in the murder in this drama. If we look at London, 53% of knife perpetrators are black in London. That is pure facts, yet they make up less than 10% of the population. So I think MPs would save more lives. Black-on-black crime is a real problem, violence in London. If MPs decided to give that as much airing as something like this, we could actually save lives and stop problems. This is a very rare thing.
I would say it is very relevant that it is a white family. It's an extremely important part of the narrative. It is a classic, traditional white working class family.
I agree with that.
Stephen plays a plumber. They have all of the sort of general social mores, cultural attitudes of a typical white working class family. It is about the general plight of white working class families, even if they're doing what they can to stick together. I mean, it starts, as you show, with a rather heavy-handed police raid. Quite why you need to do, why the police force need to act like that to pick up a 13-year-old boy. I'm not quite clear. There's a whole episode set in a school where it's commented that nobody's learning anything here. This is just a holding pen. So I think a lot of it is about how the institutions of Britain are letting down traditional white working class British communities. That's what I took away from it. And I've got quite a big woke radar, right? I did not walk away from it thinking this is woke trash. I thought it was a pretty incisive social commentary about how regular traditional white working class families are facing problems and difficulties and are generally let down by the institutions of Britain.
Yes, but if they'd done a drama, say, about a black family, and you're quite right about the statistics about knife crime, particularly in London.
I just want to save lives, Nina. I think they could do if they highlighted
who doesn't?
it.
But the thing is, if they had made a drama about a black kid stabbing another black kid, because of what he'd seen on, or because he was part of a gang, that would not have been a surprising drama. Sadly, that would not have been a surprising drama.
I know what you mean.
It would have been. It would say yes, but we know this. We know this. But the point about this, the surprise about this drama, as you say, was the fact that it was a normal, loving family. There were two parents there, because you know normally it would be a drama like, well, where's the male model?
Oh yeah,
where's the male mentor? Where's the, you know?
Yeah.
Look, Patrick, there's a breakdown of morals in the younger generations now. We're seeing porn stars like Bonnie Blue have 1,000 young men turn up, you know, and a lot of the time, very few white boys in that. So there is a problem in many sort of communities with culture and behaviour. So we've got to tackle this. Yes, look, it's a great drama, but it's highlighting many sort of troubles.
But we're all agreeing somebody should commission Patrick's drama series on the Classic.
Probably not going to direct it. That would be a car crash.
But the thing is, exposure to porn is we're not.
Everywhere. Well, that's one of the key parts of the story,
obviously. But the thing is, as I said 20 or 30 years ago, if a young boy wanted to see porn, he'd have to go to some cinema or other and pretend to be 18.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
But you're basically right, Patrick.
You can't.
Politically incorrect drama basically is not made. And that's a problem.
Well, they are drama. They are made.
Yeah, because for me, it's the power of it. You produce something, just to very quickly I'll say the final thing on this, but you produce something as wonderfully made as what this is, as Adolescence, and it's so great that it gets people talking, it's gripping, it's somebody, and then it starts a narrative and it starts a conversation, it finds its way, and then these things have such a big power that they can affect change. I'm just thinking, if you did something similar that really emphasised the lack of safety on the streets, you know, how do women feel on public transport at the moment because of, all right, all men, but because really of a lot of foreign men in Britain. It's a big thing. You could do something similar on that and maybe affect change there as well. I don't know. I just don't think we'll ever
get to see. It's going to be weaponised 100%.
I completely disagree with you. It will not come down to a white-black thing. It will not, or white-Asian. It will not be that.
Well, as I said, with Netflix, they're interested in making money, really. So, to me, Netflix, most times, if they can make money, they're going to do it. So if Patrick comes up with a good script and gives it them, well, obviously they'll make it into a film or into a series, because, you know what I mean, if it's going to sell, they don't care, they'll do it. It's only because they have to make money, because that's what they are, a money-making machine. That's why they produce all this content, so that people can sign up and they get more people to join Netflix and all that, because it's all about money. Ain't a damn thing of funny, as the song said, the rap song in the past. But yeah, Nina, she made a good point there as well about it, and she was reasonable. But the other guy, he said it's going to be weaponized. I don't know what does it mean, weaponized. I mean, you could say it's going to be weaponized in the sense that they're going to use it and they try and clamp down on people's already dwindling freedoms on the internet. They're trying to sort of censor everybody out there and trying to control what people say. In fact, even I put comments on the internet on YouTube, no swearing, nothing offensive, and the algorithm just deletes the comment. So the censorship everywhere really now. People are being censored. And it's just the world we live in now, the Western world especially, where people can't really say, they censored a lot of stuff. But like I say, when it comes to these big companies like Netflix, they would have done that drama knowing that they were going to get a good response from that drama. Remember the other one, another drama they did as well, I can't remember what it's called now. There's this drama about this woman in Netflix, it was dead popular. Oh, I don't remember what the name of it is. Yeah, it's like Netflix made this series called Baby Reindeer about this person being stalked. So they make all kinds of harrowing dramas, really. And I have to keep repeating this, but they're sort of interested in making money. So that's the reason why they make TV series. Adolescence. It's because they know they're going to get some sort of reaction. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. I'm Appreciate your time you took to watch it. And I just want your comments below. Do you think what I said is right, or do you think it's wrong? Give me your opinion, what you think in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already, because I need more subscribers. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you do, you'll be helping me out. So thank you for watching it.